When I asked her not to trip with her guy best friend, she posted, "Men think they own you." I stayed quiet, just changed my status to single, called off the wedding, and told her to find a new place. Then all hell broke loose. I never thought a single Instagram post could bring a 4-year relationship to its knees, but when my fiancé, Chloe, hit publish, I knew our future was instantly, irrevocably over. Or so I believed. What I didn't know then was that the worst betrayal was still waiting for me down the road. Let me rewind a bit. I'm 29, and until just 6 months ago, I was absolutely convinced I had my life perfectly mapped out. Chloe and I had been together for 4 years, and our wedding was only 8 months away. We met through friends at a barbecue back in 2021, and honestly, everything just felt easy. She was a marketing coordinator, I was in software, and we settled into this comfortable rhythm. Dinner most nights, Netflix on weekends, talking about buying a house somewhere quiet. Nothing flashy, just solid and real. Our families adored us. When I proposed last March at a little cabin we rented upstate, she cried for 20 minutes straight. Everything felt right, I truly believed we were building something permanent. Then Sophia came back to town, and that's when things started to unravel. Sophia was Chloe's old college friend, one of those people who pops up in ancient Instagram photos with matching Halloween costumes and red Solo cups. They were super close during their university days, but Sophia moved to Denver after graduation, and they'd only kept in touch with the occasional text. I'd met her maybe twice at weddings. She seemed fine, just loud and energetic, always the center of attention, but harmless. Last September, Sophia moved back to our city for a new job, and suddenly she was everywhere. Chloe was ecstatic, constantly saying how amazing it was to have her best friend back. I was happy for her, truly, because Chloe had felt a bit isolated since her work friends were either married with kids or single and hitting the clubs, neither of which fit our vibe. The first few weeks were normal. Brunch on Sundays, drinks after work. Chloe would come home, full of stories about Sophia's dating disasters or her crazy boss. I didn't think anything of it. But then Sophia started bringing Ethan around. And that's when everything subtly shifted. Ethan was another college friend, supposedly Sophia's best guy friend since forever. He'd moved to Miami after university and was now back in town as a business consultant. Suddenly, the three of them were inseparable. It was this whole college reunion thing, hitting their old bars, taking pictures at campus spots, posting everything with captions like "the crew is back together." I'll admit, I felt a little left out, but I'm not the jealous type, and Chloe always invited me. The problem was their hangouts were usually on weeknights when I had early meetings, or at places too loud for my taste. So, I'd decline, tell her to have fun. That's when things really started changing in ways I couldn't ignore. Chloe had never been super into fitness, but suddenly she was waking up at 5:30 a.m. for a CrossFit gym Sophia belonged to. She bought expensive new athletic wear, started talking macros and meal prep constantly. Don't get me wrong, I was supportive, told her she looked great, but it felt less like a personal goal and more like she was trying to keep up with Sophia, who was always posting gym selfies. Then came the group chat that took over our lives. I'd be next to Chloe on the couch, watching a movie, and her phone would light up every 30 seconds with messages from University Crew Forever. She'd be typing away, a huge smile on her face. I'd ask what was so funny, and she'd say, "Oh, just something Sophia said," or "Ethan is so ridiculous," but she wouldn't show me. Her phone also suddenly had a passcode, which was completely new. We'd always had an open phone policy, not in a controlling way, but in a trusting way. Our entire social life got hijacked, too. We used to spend weekends with my friends or her work friends, but now every single weekend revolved around Sophia and Ethan. Sophia wants to check out that new rooftop bar, or Ethan got us tickets to this comedy show, or we're all doing brunch downtown. It was always the four of us. Ethan seemed decent enough, maybe a little too much finance bro energy, humble bragging about his apartment or car, but friendly. What bothered me was Chloe's behavior around them. She laughed louder, drank way more than usual, stayed out later on work nights. A few times she came home past midnight on a Tuesday, and when I asked if everything was okay, she'd get immediately defensive. I'm allowed to have fun with my friends, she'd snap, which wasn't what I was saying at all. The real breaking point came about 3 months after Sophia moved back. We were at this Italian restaurant for Sophia's birthday. Nice place, candlelight, expensive wine. I was trying to be social, even though I'd had a brutal week and just wanted to be home. Sophia was holding court, telling a story about a disastrous date, and everyone was laughing like it was the funniest thing ever. Then, between courses, Sophia got this look like she was about to announce something huge. She booked a weekend getaway to Willamette Valley, a boutique winery hotel. It was going to be her, Ethan, and Chloe. Just the 3 of them, like old times. A whole weekend of wine tasting, spa treatments, reconnecting with their college roots. I sat there, thinking she'd invite me, but she didn't. She just looked at Chloe with this expectant smile, and Chloe was already nodding enthusiastically. I kept my voice casual when I asked if it was just the 3 of them. Sophia waved her hand dismissively, mumbled something about it being a college friend's nostalgia thing. Chloe squeezed my hand under the table and said I'd be bored anyway since I don't even like wine that much, which was true, but completely beside the point. I didn't make a scene, just said we'd talk about it later, but I could feel my jaw clenching. On the drive home, I asked Chloe if she really thought it was appropriate to go on a romantic-coded trip with another guy while we were engaged. She got immediately defensive, said Ethan was just a friend and I was being insecure. I told her it wasn't about trust, it was about respect and boundaries. She called me controlling and said she'd already committed. We argued for over an hour. Finally, I just plainly asked her not to go. She went silent, then said she'd already told Sophia yes and the hotel was paid for. I suggested she could pay Sophia back, and we could do our own Willamette trip someday. She called me ridiculous, said she wasn't going to let me dictate her friends or travel. We didn't speak the rest of the night. I slept on the couch for the first time in our relationship. The next morning, she told me she was definitely going and I needed to work on my trust issues. I tried one more time to calmly explain this wasn't about trust, but how it looked and how it made me feel. She cut me off, said she was tired of running every little thing by me because we weren't married yet. That sentence hit different. Not married yet. Like the engagement meant nothing, like our 4 years together didn't matter. I just told her she was right and walked out. I went to work, couldn't focus. By lunch, I'd made up my mind, if she went, we were done. That Friday afternoon, before she even left for the airport, she posted on Instagram a photo of her with a suitcase and sunglasses, looking excited, with a caption asking why men think a ring means ownership, and saying she was running toward her happiness that weekend. She tagged it with wine emojis and mentioned Willamette with her favorite people. At least 5 people tagged me in the comments asking if everything was okay. I didn't respond. I just sat in my apartment, looking at that post, and something inside me went completely cold and calm. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I had an entire weekend to do it. I spent Saturday and Sunday methodically taking care of business. First, I changed my relationship status on social media to single, no explanation. Then I started calling vendors. The wedding venue? Cancelled. Lost the $2,000 deposit, but I didn't care. Caterer, DJ, photographer, every single vendor got a call, every contract terminated. I documented everything in a spreadsheet because that's just how my brain works in crisis mode. Then I called Chloe's parents. I had a good relationship with them and wanted them to hear it from me first. I explained what happened, told them about the Instagram post, told them I'd cancelled the wedding. Her mom actually cried on the phone, apologized to me, said she was ashamed of her daughter's behavior and had raised her better. Her dad was quieter, but I could tell he was disappointed too. The last thing I did was draft an email to Chloe. The subject line was simply, "You have 30 days." I attached a formal eviction notice because, technically, the apartment lease was only in my name. I didn't write a long emotional letter or explain myself. The notice said everything that needed to be said. I sent it Sunday evening. Then I did something I hadn't done in 4 years. I downloaded a dating app. Not because I was ready to date, but because I wanted to remind myself there was life after this. I swiped for 20 minutes, got tired of it, and went to bed. Chloe didn't see any of it until Sunday night when she got back from Willamette around 9 o'clock. I was on the couch watching a game when she walked in, all glowing and relaxed. She started telling me about the wine tastings, the amazing dinners, how beautiful the vineyards were. I just looked at her calmly and told her to check her email. She pulled out her phone, looking confused, and I watched her face change. First confusion, then shock, then complete panic. She asked if I was serious. I told her, completely. She started crying immediately, saying I was overreacting, that it was just a weekend with friends, that nothing happened with Ethan. I told her I didn't care if anything happened or not, because the disrespect alone was enough for me to be done. She begged me to reconsider, said we could go to counseling, said she'd cut off Sophia and Ethan completely if that's what I wanted. I told her it was way too late for that and she needed to figure out where she was going to live. She ended up calling her sister, Paige, who lived across town, and packed a bag that night. Before she left, she screamed that I'd regret this, that I was throwing away 4 years over nothing, that everyone would see what a controlling psycho I was. I didn't engage. I just held the door open and waited for her to leave. The apartment felt incredibly quiet after she was gone, but also somehow lighter, like I could finally breathe properly for the first time in months. The next few weeks were messy, like breakups always are. Chloe stayed with Paige and kept texting me these long, emotional messages about how much she loved me and how I was making a huge mistake. I didn't respond to any of them at first. My friend Noah, who'd been my roommate before Chloe moved in, even offered to move back in to help with rent. But then, about 3 weeks after the breakup, Chloe's texts completely changed. They became less defensive and more genuinely apologetic. She admitted she'd gotten caught up in reliving her college days and had lost sight of what actually mattered. She said she'd cut off Sophia completely and wanted to fight for us. I'll be honest, 4 years is a long time to just throw away over one bad decision. We built a life together, and maybe I'd been too hasty in burning everything down. My mom had been calling me, asking if I was really sure about this, saying sometimes people make mistakes and deserve second chances. So, after about a month of Chloe consistently apologizing and showing real remorse, I agreed to meet her at a diner near our old apartment. She looked genuinely remorseful when she walked in, not defensive or angry like before. We talked for over 2 hours about everything that had gone wrong: boundaries, respect, communication. She swore nothing had happened with Ethan in Willamette, that it had just been wine tasting and dinners as friends. She cried and told me she understood why I'd reacted, and that she'd spend however long it took rebuilding my trust. Against my better judgment, and definitely against Noah's advice, I agreed to give it another shot. We decided to take it slow, start over, almost like we were dating again. She moved back in about 2 weeks later, and for the first month, things were actually really good. She was attentive and present in a way she hadn't been in months. No more secret group chats, no more late nights out, no more Sophia drama. We went to couples counseling twice a week and started talking about maybe planning a smaller wedding for the following year. Noah moved out again, though he told me I was making a huge mistake and would regret it. I thought maybe we'd actually make it through this, come out stronger. Then, about 6 weeks after we got back together, I found her old iPad. She'd left it charging in the closet, and I grabbed it thinking it was mine because we had the same model. When I unlocked it, I realized it was hers. I was about to put it back when I saw iMessage notifications popping up. Here's the thing about iPads: they sync to your phone and keep message histories even after you delete them from your phone. I know I shouldn't have looked, but something in my gut told me to check. I opened her messages with Ethan, and my stomach just completely dropped. The messages went back months, way before the Willamette Valley trip even happened. Ethan had been telling her he'd always had feelings for her since university, that he thought about her constantly, that seeing her again made him realize she was the one who got away. And Chloe had been responding, not shutting him down at all. Messages like, "You always knew how to make me feel special." And sometimes, I wonder what would have happened if we dated back then. There were inside jokes and late-night conversations, this whole emotional affair I'd known nothing about. Then I scrolled to the Willamette messages and found photos she'd never posted publicly. Pictures of them holding hands on a vineyard tour. A photo of them kissing at sunset with wine glasses in their hands. A selfie of them in bed together with the caption, "Best weekend ever." I felt physically sick sitting there on the closet floor. I realized the woman who'd been sleeping next to me for the past 6 weeks, crying about second chances, had been lying to my face the entire time. I didn't confront her immediately. I took screenshots of everything and sent them to my email. When Chloe got home from work that evening, I had all the evidence pulled up on my laptop. I just turned the screen toward her without saying a word and watched her face go white. She started with denials, then excuses about how it was just emotional support. I pulled up the kissing photo and the bed selfie and asked her to explain those. She broke down crying and admitted they'd hooked up that weekend, but swore it was just once. I told her to pack her stuff and get out immediately. This time, no begging would work. No counseling. Nothing. Noah helped me change the locks. That same night, Chloe went back to Pages, and I blocked her everywhere. But here's where karma really hit. About 2 weeks later, a mutual friend told me Ethan had a serious girlfriend in Boston the entire time, over 2 years together. His girlfriend found out about Willamette and confronted him. He threw Chloe completely under the bus, said she pursued him, then blocked her everywhere. So, Chloe had destroyed our 4-year relationship for a guy who used her and ghosted her. She'd lost me, lost Ethan, and even lost Sophia, who'd been fired for fraud and was living on her sister's couch, unemployed. Meanwhile, I got promoted at work. I started dating someone new named Ava, who actually respected me and made me feel better than I had in over a year. Last I heard, Chloe moved to a different city because too many people knew what she'd done. Sometimes I think about those 4 years and wonder if any of it was real. But mostly, I'm just grateful I found out who she really was before we actually got married. What would you have done in my shoes?